Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, those between, above, and beyond the binary. It's Tuesday, June 2nd, and you bet your whole butt it's bedtime, brother. Oh my god, I forgot to put my robe on. This is sacrilege. I'm just wearing a t-shirt, you guys. Oh man. I was a little late getting ready today, and it turns out that I completely forgot my most important costume piece. I mean, I've got my sweatpants here. Um, oh well, here it comes. I'm getting my robe flown in. Thank you, darling. Now, while I'm getting dressed, how was your day? Please chat amongst yourselves. Oh, there we are. Let's see here. Oh, get all bundled up. My gosh. It's like Mr. Rogers. That's right, except it's the same sweater every day. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe I should always get dressed on stream. What kind of show is this? Yeah, low budget, bunch of hacks. We need to get some more production dwarves to chase the talent around and make sure that they're wearing their right costumes and stuff. My hair's not even dry. I took a shower about an hour ago and I thought it would be nice, but as a result, it's just kind of slack. Oh well, that's all right. I'm sure you're not here to stare at my hairy mug. We're all here for the same reason, and that's a story. A lovely little story. A lovely little story named Prince Caspian. You should make you should make this a new thing. Don't blame the dwarves. You're right. They're all very good dwarves here. The production dwarves are second to none. They haven't even unionized, so we can kind of we can cut some corners you can't do on an official set. But shout out to the dwarves. And while I'm talking about the dwarves, I would also like to give a shout out to Sam with Bells On, who, as Colleen Frank mentioned in the chat yesterday, but I totally neglected to also talk about, Sam has been nominated for a Sterling Award here in Edmonton, which is the sort of indie theater Oscars of Northern Alberta. And she's been nominated for, I believe it was fight choreography for a show called Mr. Burns. So congratulations, Sam. I really enjoyed all the gunplay in that show, and I know that you had everything to do with that, and the fights were pretty awesome too. So congratulations. I can't wait for the ceremonies to give you your just desserts. Let's see what else is going on. How? Well, Sam was nominated. The way that it works is through the year there are a bunch of sterling jurors who are all members of the theater community, or not actually. They're all secret jurors. You're not supposed to know who they are, and they are given free tickets to every play that happens through the year. And then at the end of the season, they are given a ballot of every different category of, lead actor, male, supporting actor, makeup, all that stuff. Whatever categories they have, there are several nominations for them. And this year, Sam was nominated for fight choreography. So once again, congratulations, Sam. Nice work. Maybe that's not what the how was. Great. Anyways, technical difficulties. Okay, well, forgive me for over-explaining what is a fairly obvious process of a secret jury and a ballot. Last night on Brother Bedtime, we got to witness what is arguably the darkest chapter of the book so far. I don't think it quite topped the sacrifice of Aslan in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but we were graced with the presence of a hag who the favorite line that I had there was, no one hates better than me. As well as a werewolf who was decidedly not of the Twilight variety. He was kind of a string beanie, gray, flat-voiced thing, a being of hunger and meanness. And Knickerbrick wanted to, in light of the failed experiment, or at least what he perceived to be a failure of the horn to summon aid, be it Aslan or the High King, he wanted to conduct a dark ritual of black sorcery to try and summon up the witch and use her dark powers to defeat King Miraz. Needless to say, this didn't go over so well with most of the council. There was a battle that ensued, and Peter, Edmund, and Trumpkin the dwarf bust in at the last possible opportunity to save the day. Knickerbrick now lies dead at their feet, along with the hag and the werewolf. Nevertheless, the long-waited-for help that Caspian had hoped for when he first blew the horn has finally arrived. Lucy and Susan have concluded their sweet bacchanalian revelry with Aslan and Bacchus and Silenus. And now, presumably, the whole gang is going to unite and come up with some variety of plan to finally oust this Miraz fellow. Is Prince Caspian a werewolf now? That's right, Mulric. That's an important detail. He was bit by the werewolf. And we don't know. Maybe. That is typically how the transmission of lycanthropy happens. There is an infection based on an attack that one survives. And at the next full moon, you do the thing. You know, you get too big for your clothes and too hairy for your skin, and your bones all change shape, and you get a real hankering to go to the Outback Steakhouse. So we'll see if Prince Caspian suffers a similar fate. I wonder if Lucy's cordial will be able to save him if that is the case. I suppose we'll have to find out. That scene was done really well in the movie. I imagine. You keep raving about that movie, Mom. I am going to have to check it out one of these days. I don't have any network television over here, so it'll have to be some variety of pirated copy. Ooh. But I'm sure it's available online somewhere. When we last left the Pevensies, they had just finished rescuing Caspian, Dr. Cornelius, and Truffle Hunter from the machinations of Knickerbrick and his fiendish allies, and they had settled down to a meager breakfast of cold bear meat, a lump of hard cheese, an onion, and a mug of water. So nothing like the bevy of grapes and grape juice that they got outside at the sweet party, but a good repast nonetheless, given everything they've been through. Let's see here. What? You watch TV, aka Fins? Films? Ah, films. Yes. Yes, from time to time. Well, I don't really watch TV. I watch a little bit of Netflix with Sam with Bells on, but at any rate, it's time for the story, everybody. I hope you're settled. I hope you're cozy. You've got your animals and your beverages and your snacks and all of that. I invite you to relax. Chapter 13. The High King in Command. Now, said Peter, as they finished their meal, Aslan and the girls, that's Queen Susan and Queen Lucy Caspian, are somewhere close. We don't know when he will act. In his time, no doubt, not ours. In the meantime, he would like us to do what we can on our own. You say, Caspian, we are not strong enough to meet Miraz in pitched battle. I'm afraid not, High King, said Caspian. He was liking Peter very much, but was rather tongue-tied. It was much stranger for him to meet the great kings out of the old stories than it was for them to meet him. Very well, then, said Peter. I'll send him a challenge to single combat. No one had thought of this before. Please, said Caspian, could it not be me? I want to avenge my father. You're wounded, said Peter. And anyway, wouldn't he just laugh at a challenge from you? I mean, we have seen that you are a king and a warrior, but he thinks of you as a kid. But sire, said the badger, who sat very close to Peter and never took his eyes off him, will he accept a challenge even from you? He knows he has the strongest army. Very likely he won't, said Peter, but there's always the chance. And even if he doesn't, we shall spend the best part of the day sending heralds to and fro and all that. By then Aslan may have done something, and at least I can inspect the army and strengthen the position. I will send the challenge. In fact, I will write it at once. Have you pen and ink, Master Doctor? The scholar is never without them, your majesty, answered Dr. Cornelius. Well prepared, good doctor. Very well, I will dictate, said Peter. And while the doctor spread out a parchment and opened his inkhorn and sharpened his pen, Peter leant. Huh. It's L-E-A-N-T. Peter leaned, with a D, back with his half-closed eyes, and recalled to his mind the language in which he had written such things long ago in Narnia's golden age. Right, he said at last. Oh, never mind, that was Peter. Right, he said at last. And now, if you're ready, Doctor. Dr. Cornelius dipped his pen and waited. Peter dictated as follows. Peter, by the gift of Aslan, by election, by prescription, and by conquest, High King over all kings in Narnia, Emperor of the Lone Islands and Lord of Cair Paravel, Knight of the most noble order of the Lion, to Miraz, son of Caspian the Eighth, sometime Lord Protector of Narnia, and now styling himself King of Narnia, greeting. Have you got that? Narnia, comma, greeting, muttered the doctor. Yes, sire. Then begin a new paragraph. Said Peter. For to prevent the effusion of blood, and for the avoiding all other inconveniences likely to grow from the wars now levied in our realms of Narnia, it is our pleasure to adventure our royal person on behalf of our trusty and well-beloved Caspian, in clean wager of battle to prove upon your lordship's body that the said Caspian is lawful king under us in Narnia, both by our gift and by the laws of the Telmarines, and your lordship twice guilty of treachery, both in withholding the dominion of Narnia from the said Caspian, and in the most abominable— don't forget to spell it with an H, Doctor. Abominable. Bloody and unnatural murder of your kindly lord and brother King Caspian IX of that name. Wherefore we most heartily provoke, challenge, and defy your lordship to the said combat and monomachy. Monomachy? Monomachy. 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 And have sent these letters by the hand of our well-beloved and royal brother Edmund, sometime king under us in Narnia, Duke of Lantern Waste and Count of the Western March, Knight of the Noble Order of the Table, to whom we have given full power of determining with your lordship all the conditions of the said battle. Given at our lodging in Aslan's Howe this 12th day of the month of Green Roof, in the first year of Caspian 10th of Narnia. That ought to do, said Peter, drawing a deep breath. And now we must send 2 others with King Edmund. I think the giant ought to be one. He's not very clever, you know, said Caspian. Of course not, said Peter, but any giant looks impressive if only he will keep quiet, and it will cheer him up. But who for the other? Upon my word, said Trumpkin, if you want someone who can kill with looks, Reepicheep would be the best. He would indeed, from all I hear, said Peter with a laugh, if only he wasn't so small. They wouldn't even see him till he was close. Send Glenstorm, sire, said Truffle Hunter. No one ever laughed at a centaur. Heather says Abraham Mobile. What is that? I have no idea what that means. It sounds cool. Maybe some things are better kept a mystery. An hour later, 2 great lords in the army of Miraz, the Lord Glozell and the Lord Sopespian, strolling along their lines and picking their teeth after breakfast, looked up and saw coming down to them from the wood the centaur and giant Wimbleweather, whom they had seen before in battle, and between them a figure they could not recognize. Nor indeed would the other boys at Edmund's school have recognized him if they could have seen him at that moment. For Aslan had breathed on him at their meeting, and a kind of greatness hung about him. Here we can see Lord Glozelle and Lord Caspian looking rather fancy, but also a little bit out of sorts at the approach of these sometime combatants, Glenstorm and Wimbleweather. Rumblebuffin? Wimbleweather. Wimbleweather. Rumblebuffin was from the other one. "What's to do?" said the Lord Glozelle. "An attack?" "A parley, rather," said Caspian. "See, they carry green branches. They are coming to surrender, most likely." "He that is walking between the centaur and the giant has no look of surrender in his face," said Glozelle. "Who can he be? It is not the boy Caspian." "No, indeed," said Caspian. "This is a fell warrior, I warrant you, wherever the rebels have got him from. He is, in your lordship's private ear, a kinglier man than ever Miraz was. And what mail he wears! None of our smiths can make the like." "I'll wager my dapple Ponley he brings a challenge, not a surrender," said Glozelle. "How then?" said Caspian. "We hold the enemy in our fist here. Miraz would never be so hare-brained as to throw away his advantage on a combat." "He might be brought to it," said Glozelle in a much lower voice. "Softly," said Caspian. "Step a little aside here out of earshot of those sentries. Now, have I taken your lordship's meaning aright?" "If the king undertook wager of battle," whispered Glozelle, "why, either he would kill or be killed." "So?" said Caspian, nodding his head. "And if he killed, we should have won this war." "Certainly. And if not?" "Why, if not, we should be able to win it without the king's graces with him. For I need not tell your lordship that Miraz is no very great captain. And after that, we should be both victorious and kingless." "And it is your meaning, my lord, that you and I could hold this land quite as conveniently without a king as with one?" Glozelle's face grew ugly. "Not forgetting," said he, "that it would be we who first put him on the throne. And in all these years that he has enjoyed it, what fruits have come our way? What gratitude has he shown us?" "Say no more," answered Caspian. "But look, here comes one to fetch us to the king's tent." When they reached Miraz's tent, they saw Edmund and his two companions seated outside it, and being entertained with cakes and wine, having already delivered the challenge, and withdrawn while the king was considering it. When they saw them thus at close quarters, the two Telmarine lords thought all three of them very alarming. Inside they found Miraz, unarmed and finishing his breakfast. His face was flushed, and there was a scowl on his brow. "There!" he growled, flinging the parchment from the table to them. "See what a pack of nursery tales our jackanapes of a nephew has sent us." "By your leave, sire," said Glozelle, "if the young warrior whom we had just seen outside is the King Edmund mentioned in the writing, then I would not call him a nursery tale, but a very dangerous knight." "King Edmund, pah!" said Miraz. "Does your lordship believe those old wives' fables about Peter and Edmund and the rest?" "I believe my eyes, your majesty," said Glozelle. "Well, this is to no purpose," said Miraz. "But as touching the challenge, I suppose there's only one opinion between us." "I suppose indeed, sire," said Glozelle. "And what is that?" "And what is that?" asked the king. "Most infallibly to refuse it," said Glozelle. "For though I have never been called a coward, I must plainly say that to meet that young man in battle is more than my heart would serve me for. And if, as is likely, his brother the High King is more dangerous than he, why, on your life, my lord king, have nothing to do with him. Ooh, I wonder. It's the old, it's the old reverse psychology. Jimmy Jams, welcome. Loving the Lord's voice? Yeah, I'm having some fun with these two poofters. They're very highfalutin tonight. Plague on you, cried Miraz. It was not that sort of counsel I wanted. Do you think I'm asking you if I should be afraid to meet this Peter, if there is such a man? Do you think I fear him? I wanted your counsel on the policy of the matter, whether we, having the advantage, should hazard it on wager of a battle. To which I can only answer, your majesty, said Glozelle, that for all reasons the challenge should be refused. There is death in the strange knight's face. There you are again, said Miraz, now thoroughly angry. Are you trying to make it appear that I am as great a coward as your lordship? Your majesty may say your pleasure, said Glozelle sulkily. You talk like an old woman, Glozelle, said the king. What do you say, my lord Sir Caspian? Do not touch it, sire, was the reply. And what your majesty says of the policy of the thing comes in very happily. It gives your majesty excellent grounds for a refusal, without any cause for questioning your majesty's honor or courage. Great heaven! Exclaimed Miraz, jumping to his feet. Are you also bewitched today? You think I am looking for grounds to refuse it? You might as well call me coward to my face. The conversation was going exactly as the two lords wished, so they said nothing. I see what it is, said Miraz, after staring at them as if his eyes would start out of his head. You are as lily-livered as hares yourselves, and have the effrontery to imagine my heart after the likeness of yours. Grounds for a refusal, indeed! Excuses for not fighting! Are you soldiers? Are you Telmarines? Are you men? And if I do refuse it, as all good reasons of captaincy and martial policy urge me to do, you will think, and teach others to think, I was afraid. Is it not so? No man of your majesty's age, said Glozelle, would be called coward by any wise soldier for refusing the combat with a great warrior in the flower of his youth. So I'm to be a dotard with one foot in the grave as well as a dastard, roared Miraz. I'll tell you what it is, my lords. With your womanish counsels, ever shying from the true point, which is one of policy, you have done the very opposite of your intent. I had meant to refuse it, but I'll accept it. Do you hear? Accept it! I'll not be shamed because some witchcraft or treason has frozen both of your bloods. We beseech your majesty, said Glozelle, but Miraz had flung out of the tent, and they could hear him bawling out his acceptance to Edmund. The two lords looked at one another and chuckled quietly. I knew he'd do it if he were properly chafed, said Glozelle. But I'll not forget he called me a coward. It shall be paid for. Whew. These Glozelle guys are a regular Gertrude and, what's her name? The other evil, well, not evil. I'm thinking King Lear, is Cornelia, the nice one, Gertrude, and Goneril. No, Gertrude's from Hamlet. It's Goneril and Reagan. There we go. We cracked the code. What an awful lot of scheming. There was a great stirring at Aslan's How when the news came back and was communicated to the various creatures. Edmund, with one of Miraz's captains, had already marked out the place for the combat, and ropes and stakes had been put round it. 2 Telmarines were to stand at 2 of the corners, and one in the middle of one side as marshals of the lists. 3 marshals for the other 2 corners and the other side were to be furnished by the High King. Peter was just explaining to Caspian that he could not be one, because his right to the throne was what they were fighting about, when suddenly a thick, sleepy voice said, "Your Majesty, please." Peter turned, and there stood the eldest of the bulgy bears. "If you please, Your Majesty, I'm a bear, I am." He's a bear, guys. Bear's a bear. "To be sure, so you are, and a good bear too, I don't doubt," said Peter. "My thoughts exactly, Peter." "Yes," said the bear, "but it was always a right of the bears to supply one marshal of the lists." "Don't let him," whispered Trumpkin to Peter. "He's a good creature, but he'll shame us all. He'll go to sleep, and he will suck his paws. In front of the enemy, too." "I can't help that," said Peter, "because he's quite right. The bears had that privilege. I can't imagine how it has been remembered all these years, when so many other things have been forgotten." Please, Your Majesty," said the bear. "It is your right," said Peter, "and you shall be one of the marshals. But you must remember not to suck your paws." "Of course not," said the bear in a very shocked voice. "Why, you're doing it this minute," bellowed Trumpkin. The bear whipped his paw out of his mouth and pretended he hadn't. Nice. Here we can see Trumpkin calling out that paw-sucking sleepy bear. It's not a very imposing thing. I suppose it's the equivalent of thumb-sucking or nail-biting. Oh, bulgy bear. You sleepy goofball. Oh, he gonna suck his paws? Alright, place your bets, everybody. Will bulgy bears, during the combat, suck his paws? Sam with bells on, can you take track of the tallies and we'll see what happens? Place your votes. Type if you think he's gonna suck his paws or if he's not, and Sam is gonna take a record. I want to see what the populace has to say about this matter. We got one yes from Mulgrick, saying for sure he's gonna suck his paws. I want everybody to hop in. He will suck. Ethereal, you've got it. Yeah. Jamie Jams, oh my god, that's 4 for 4 for yes, he's gonna suck his paws. No one's got faith in the bulgy bear. He's a Winnie. Yes, he will. Oh, he's a Winnie. You called it, Just Mom. He's a Winnie through and through, this bulgy bear. Winnie the Pooh is a very bulgy bear, too. Maybe I could read some Winnie the Pooh on the show sometime. There's an idea. Oh, bother. I'd have to work on the voice, though. But no one will mind because he's great. That's how it should be, Jamie Jams. We should all be accepted for our paw-sucking foibles and, you know, our propensity to fall asleep at moments of great need. Everyone needs a break once in a while. Heather says he will. All right, we've got quorum, everybody. We've got consensus. I think everybody so far has voted that the bulgy bear will suck his paws and do a good showing. Or a bad showing. I mean, it's what the people want. So we shall see if it is a good showing or not. "Sire!" came a shrill voice from near the ground. "Ah, Reepicheep," said Peter after looking up and down and round, as people usually did when addressed by the mouse. "Sire," said Reepicheep, "my life is ever at your command, but my honor is my own. Sire, I have among my people the only trumpeter in your majesty's army. I had thought perhaps we might have been sent with the challenge. Sire, my people are grieved. Perhaps if it were your pleasure that I should be a marshal of the lists, it would content them." A noise not unlike thunder broke out from somewhere overhead at this point, as giant Wimbleweather burst into one of those not very intelligent laughs to which the nicer sorts of giant are so liable. He checked himself at once and looked as grave as a turnip by the time Reepicheep discovered where the noise was coming from. Oh, Wimbleweather, you big idiot. "I am afraid it would not do," said Peter very gravely. "Some humans are afraid of mice." "I have observed it, sire," said Reepicheep. We're gonna have to workshop Reepicheep's voice. I'm not sure if this is the right register for him. I somehow think he's probably a little more noble than that, but it'll have to do for today. And it would not be quite fair to Miraz, Peter continued, to have anything in sight that might abate the edge of his courage. Your Majesty is the mirror of honor, said the mouse with one of his admirable bows. And on this matter we have but a single mind. I thought I heard someone laughing just now. If anyone present wishes to make me the subject of his wit, I am very much at his service, with my sword, whenever he has leisure. An awful silence followed this remark, which was broken by Peter saying, Giant Wimbleweather and the Bear and the Centaur Glenstorm shall be our marshals. The combat will be at 2 hours after noon. Dinner at noon precisely. I say, said Edmund as they walked away, I suppose it is all right. I mean, I suppose you can beat him. That's what I'm fighting him to find out, said Peter. And here, on the last page of our story for tonight, we have Reepicheep looking rather gallant and also rather naked, save for a sword belt to go with his toothpick. Antonio Banderas, absolutely. I think you nailed it, Jamie Jams. I'm getting some real Puss in Boots vibe off of this this overly gallant mouse. Nevertheless, my friends, that is the end of our story for tonight. Love him in Farm Treader. Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, I can work on it. Something will come of it. It won't be that sort of nasally. I mean, I was bugging myself with that one, so something's got to give. Dawn Treader, the Farm Treader. Yeah, that's a lesser-known documentary about planting before the era of tractors. But yes, Dawn Treader. We're going to be getting to that next week, but we've still got a couple more chapters. I believe it is, in fact, just 2, which will round us out with the end of the story on Thursday evening. Am I correct in that? I'm correct in that. Okay. Splendid. So we'll do one more tomorrow night and then round it out on Thursday. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you are in a nice, safe place to vantage what looks like a rainstorm rolling into jolly old Edmonton here. And if you're a little further south, I know we've got some Calgary viewers. I hope the weather there is just as appreciable. I really enjoy the first few rains that we get in summertime. I mean, who am I kidding? I kind of like it whenever it rains. It's just a novelty from the from all of the sun and the wind and the clouds and stuff. You know, change is as good as a rest, as they say. At any rate, we will be back tomorrow night with more Prince Caspian action. And in the meantime, I wish you all very sweet dreams and a restful repose that nourishes, invigorates, and dare I say, inspires you. Good night, moon, and good night, stars. Good night, trucks, and good night, cars. Good night, shoes, and good night, hats. Good night, dogs, and good night, cats. Good night to friends and to family. Good night to you and to me. Sweet dreams, everybody. Rest well.